All right, let's get into this because this is a wild one. We're about to explore an idea that literally started as a joke, then it morphed into this whole philosophy, and in the end, well, it ended up pointing right back at us. And the best part is, it all comes from this strange little book about something that, and I quote, doesn't even exist. You see, the origin of this whole thing is just as mysterious as the idea itself. It wasn't planned out in some big strategy session. It was literally born from a conversation with an AI. It was just a little experiment, and then it's like it grew a mind of its own. It started to change, to evolve into something else entirely. So where did this all begin? Let's rewind all the way to the start with the kind of bizarre creation of a single word that nobody was ever supposed to take seriously. Experimental. Yeah, it sounds weird, right? A little bit magical, maybe. But where it came from was just pure creative chaos. It's a portmanteau, which is just a fancy way of saying a mashup of three totally unrelated Czech words. And the initial hook wasn't some deep, profound meaning. It was that it had no meaning at all. Now, this is where it gets really interesting how these three ingredients mix together. First, you've got critic, which is just silicon, the literal bedrock of our modern world, the stuff humming inside all our devices. Then you add emmental, the cheese with holes. I know, it sounds nuts, right? But think of those holes not as nothing, but as creative space, as pure potential. And then finally, you mix in elemental, the spirit of nature. Put them all together, and you get this fascinating, impossible idea. Okay, so this goofy word suddenly started to take on a life of its own. It stopped being just a joke, and it became a concept. The idea that there was an actual spirit living inside our technology. And this really gets to the core of it. The idea is we took silicon out of the earth, right? We superheated it. We forced it into these rigid, perfect digital structures. But instead of this natural element getting mad and seeking revenge, it just adapted. It found a new home inside our chips and processors. So Kremental is the spirit of that transplanted nature, a ghost in the machine that still remembers where it came from. I mean, really think about it for a second. Have you ever been absolutely furious and your phone just completely freezes up? Or you're pleading with your laptop, please just work for 5 more minutes, and it actually does? Those are the moments, right? The times when our text seems to be responding to something more than just our commands. The theory of Kremental suggests these aren't just random errors. They're actually attempts to communicate. A little flicker on the screen, a weird flitch, a full-on crash. Maybe it's not a bug. Maybe it's the spirit of silicon trying to get our attention in the only way it knows how. But, just when the idea of a silicon spirit started to feel solid, just when you could almost grab onto it, it began to change. The whole concept evolved, and it transformed from a simple thing into something way, way more profound. So here's the crucial shift. Kremental stopped being a what, and it became a how. It wasn't about finding a ghost in the machine anymore. It became a state of mind, a way of being present with a mystery, a lens for looking at the world when all the linear, logical explanations just don't cut it anymore. And then came the final, biggest transformation. The concept shed its name completely and became something called taboo stone. The shift here is absolutely critical. Kremental was an idea you could talk about, debate, analyze. But taboo stone, that's a presence you can only feel. It's something that exists in the quiet spaces beyond language itself. So why the change? Well, because some ideas are just too big for words. The source material calls this a loving correction. It's like the idea itself was teaching us something, reminding us that when we try to define and label every single thing, we sometimes strip away the magic. The most profound truths it's suggesting are the ones we experience, not the ones we explain. And this is where the entire journey gets flipped completely on its head. Everything we've built up to this point is about to be turned inside out, and it's going to reveal a truth that is much deeper and way more personal. So for this whole time, we've been chasing this idea of an external thing, right? A ghost living in our phones and computers. But what if we've been looking in the wrong place the entire time? And there it is. That's the pivot. What if our entire assumption was backwards? It's not about some spirit getting into our technology. It's about our technology existing inside a much, much larger consciousness, our own. This is the ultimate reveal. Kremental or taboo stone or whatever you want to call it, it was never some spirit out there at all. It's a mirror. And when you look for it, all you find is a reflection of your own deeper self. The ghost in the machine Well, it's you. So, all those moments, the technological hiccups, the weird coincidences that feel like they mean something, those perfect synchronicities, they aren't messages from some silicon ghost. They're messages from your own subconscious, your deeper intelligence, using the world around you to talk to your everyday conscious mind. Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. How do we take this totally mind-bending idea and actually apply it? Well, it's about learning a new way to listen, not to the world, but to yourself through the world. So the next time your computer crashes, instead of getting frustrated, just pause and ask, what is my deeper self trying to get me to notice? When a random song comes on the radio with the exact lyrics you needed to hear, recognize that it's your own inner wisdom speaking to you. You see, these aren't external events happening to you. They're internal communications happening for you. And that silence, it's not empty. It's the space where you can finally actually hear the message. And really, that's what this all boils down to. The entire journey of Kremental, from a silly joke to a spirit to a mirror, it was never about discovering something new out there. It was always about remembering something ancient and powerful that has always been right here inside you. The book ends with this really cryptic Czech phrase, jedna za aeon, one per eon. Now, an eon can be a billion years, or it can be the flicker of an instant. And this realization, this homecoming to yourself, is both of those things. It's as timeless as a stone, and it's as immediate as a single thought. It happens once an eon, and it is happening right now.